knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street. There's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe. Our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman, because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crying in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
Well, hello there, folks. I did not expect that abrupt end. Yes, this is the anti-broadcast, named specifically so because I'm so goddamn inept at this job. But I don't care. I'm here to fill a space until somebody comes along to fill it for me. We're gonna have a little chat tonight about, well, what do we usually chat about? False hopes. That's one thing. False hopes, false solutions, false prophets. There's loads of them about. That is the agenda, after all. That is the modus operandi of those who rule over us, is to continuously provide us with what it is that we're demanding. We're demanding freedom on many different levels because, well, we're human and that's what we need. So when an issue comes up or humanity has evolved to a certain stage where another solution is required or another state of consciousness needs to be entertained, they come out with yet another bloody double agent to fleece the flock once more, to divert us down a completely insane path so that not only do we waste our own time, but we look insane to the majority. So, in short, I'm going to be talking about Gemma O'Doherty and her Anti-Corruption Ireland. I didn't want to. I didn't want to actually come to this point where I have to call her out for being a shill, because it looked so promising. And her words of desperation, declaring that this is one of our last chances to bring the country back on course, or at least pull it out of the fire in which it's currently residing, resonated so well with me. Resonated so well with, well, it still resonates with so well with so many people. That was a lot of S's, sorry. You know, because we all feel that. So it's a little shitty to have to come out and say this girl is potentially an agent and a danger to exactly what she purports to be behind. It's with a heavy heart. We're not going to talk about that right away, though. That was just a teaser. Live radio. That's the way we do things around here. Hello, live chat, by the way. I've noticed that there are two of you here. This isn't the usual spot for the anti-broadcast. Usually we're over on evrn.net, but fuck, I hit the financial wall last month, and I just can't keep up those bills. So, yeah, here, I'm going crazy. I need to find my lighter. Give me a second. You know, it seems, you know, you have one lighter and you can always find it, but when you think, you know, I'm going to be smart, I'm going to buy 3 lighters, then I'll always have a lighter somewhere. They all go fucking missing. Come on, where are you? You can't. Oh no, it's just nowhere to be found at all. Sorry folks, I'm a drug addict. I like my nicotine and benzene and whatever else they throw in there. Candle does the trick. The anti-broadcast coming at you from the west coast of Ireland. How are you guys doing in the live chat? Want to reach out? Say hello. This is a fully interactive show. It's not to say that people fully interact with it, but the door is open. There's a lot of shit going on, folks, to grab your attention and distract you from living your best possible lives and waking your neighbors and your friends and your family up to their best possible lives. Let's be honest. What other way is there to actually break this system that is controlling us, but to be ourselves authentically and energetically, like unmovingly ourselves? Because when we have our brothers and sisters beside us, when we're arm in arm and we're honest about our needs, when Big Brother comes knocking on the door, we can give him the collective fuck you, and we can actually do something about it. Fuck this rolly. So here we have elections in Ireland. Got the they're already talking about elections in America. That's the way they go over there. They constantly talk about elections. I think there's maybe like 3 months in the whole term where they don't talk about elections, and that's just after they had one. And then as soon as the fucker is inaugurated, it goes ahead. We've got 5G. I don't know what the hell the story is there. Whether it's actually going to literally kill us as soon as it goes up, or whether that's just an exaggeration, but it's not a good thing. That has got a lot of people flustered. We also have the Brexit situation, which, honestly, whatever side you're on, there ought to be riots in the streets, but there isn't. I'm close to it, but not as there should be. Full-on riots in the streets. Hey, hang on a second. Democracy has actually been basically devalued here. I was earing in on my uncle there. He came to visit and he was kind of waiting around for something. He was listening to what I think may have been the House of Commons or the Parliament or something like that. They were discussing amongst themselves what to do, basically, about this whole oops, we didn't Brexit kind of situation. And one lad was saying, I don't know who he is, I don't frankly give a shit, was saying, well, it's been 3 years now, what about, the people, who weren't of voting age at that time, don't they get a say? Shouldn't we have another vote for them? And also the point that, well, it's been 3 years, so, maybe people will change their mind. Isn't that wonderful? Make something drag out for 3 years and then turn around and say, sure, lads, it's been so long. I don't even know if you really feel that way anymore, so let's take another vote. Democracy, whether you are pro or anti-Brexit, has been made a laughingstock of by Britain, and there ought to be some kind of international court that just kicks their ass up and down the fucking street for it. But that's not going to happen, no. Not until people fucking ask for it. Okay. Just relying on this candle over here to keep me hooked up to the cancer stick. No, folks, we do not want freedom. Nobody really wants freedom at the end of the day. We'd all fucking shit ourselves and run home to our mommies if we actually had freedom. It's just inconceivable now we are this domesticated. And it's killing us. It's killing us. We don't see it yet. Those of us who are watching, we see it, but the majority don't. And we put it down to, I don't know, like say this whole thing where mental illness is being made into a thing now. Mental illness wasn't a thing until recently. You were either just, eccentric, schizophrenic, depressed, or if something truly fucking awful happened to you and you then took your own life. But now it's kind of all being put in together into this one big lump. Okay, I'm not going to fucking relight this cigarette anymore. It's a waste of time. It's all being put into this massive lump called mental illness. And as such, we are not able to differentiate between what's what, and furthermore, the idea of actually suffering in this world, it has been changed, it has been turned around on us. It used to be that we all would suffer. It's just the human condition. Being here is inherently terrifying. You're not terrified 24/7 unless you're neurotic, but at times it gets to you, especially around major life events and losses. And we would be there for each other, in the form of holy men and other types of healers. But now it's made up as if any kind of struggle really is mental illness, and that we all need to see someone and talk to someone, and we need help. Never is it considered that maybe so many people are suffering so much because our environment is fucked up in terms of our food, in terms of our actual direct environment, the water we drink, the air we breathe, the media, as in the mediums that we interact with, the television, the radio, the computer, the mobile device, constantly beaming light into our eyes and onto our skin, fooling our bodies into producing the wrong hormones at the wrong time, and just messing up the whole process, not allowing the body to recover. We go through cycles of building up and breaking down, you see. Sleeping is part of the breaking down cycle, right? But we're actually told, and this has been going on for a couple of thousand years now, we're actually being told that no, it's just build up, build up, build up. So these down cycles, they are much larger because we are artificially kept up for longer, and they're more extreme. And because we're only supposed to build up, we're only supposed to go in one direction, and we're only supposed to be happy and content at all times, it's extremely shameful. This is a lot of pressure for human beings to deal with. And I hope you don't hear too much noise behind me. That is the sound of life happening. That is something I can't control. nor would I want to. Okay, I've just been asked where I am streaming from, so I'm going to give that, because, I haven't told the guy before ever. Right. We're struggling, folks, and what I think this country honestly needs is if a few more thousand people commit suicide. Just to ram the point down people's throats, because they seem to be totally missing the point that we are suffering, that this system could serve us better or just fuck off entirely. I'm not telling people to harm themselves. I'm not advocating this. I'm just saying that if that were to happen, then, maybe most people would just take their heads out of their fucking asses and appraise the lives that most of us are living. In my hometown, in my home city, a shining star of a young man just clearly took his own life there in January by basically, while drunk, jumping into the water. We've got like one of the most powerful currents running through a city here. And how did his friends and family respond? Well, they responded by putting pressure on the local government to put up nets and heat sensing cameras around the city's waterways, and that, politicians have jumped on that like a life raft, and that's what they're pushing now. That's what they plan to do, and they've even launched an app that somehow makes sure that you don't drown, that keeps track of you or other people. I've no idea how this works. But it won't work, though, which is the thing, because people will kill themselves anyway. That's just the nature of, people. If they decide they're going to do something, then they're going to do it, whether there's nets there or not, whether there's people watching these heat sensor cameras and hopping in boats to save them. I think people are just going to kill themselves anyway, and that's the way it is. I think that if you really, really want to keep people from actually killing themselves in the waterways, what we really need to do is use this brilliant technology. It's been around since maybe the 1940s, and we'll mix it with some modern technology as well. There's a little tiny microchip that you implant at the base of the skull, and that is connected with, we put it into everyone's heads, of course, that's the only way it would work. We hook them up to proximity sensors all along the waterways, which trigger a minute and imperceptible shock in the brain when the individual has come into proximity of the proximity sensors. Now, it won't hurt the person. It would just make them instinctively fear the water more than they fear death itself. So they'll just go and find another way of killing themselves. And then we just expand this B.F. Skinner tech to make people fear whatever it is that, whatever alternative there is, maybe, we'll make people, have a adverse reaction when they see sharp knives. That's an idea too. And then finally, we'll all be safe and sound, wrapped up in our cotton wool, and nobody will die ever, ever, ever again. Not even naturally. No. Everyone will live forever then. Because death is an unnatural thing. Oh boy. I mean, this is what we're dealing with, the youth of my city, well, relative youth of my city, they see a friend of theirs, obviously can't handle life, has problems with alcohol, because that's how we deal with things here in Ireland, take his own life, and what are their responses? Is to put up fucking nets. How, please explain, somebody explain to me, how is this any different from those iPhone factories in China where these poor people have absolutely no vision of themselves having any kind of happy future, working in these god-awful factories for pittance and inhumane hours, inhumane conditions all around, and then they just decide, hey, I'm just going to jump out this fucking window and put an end to it. How is it not the same as the iPhone manufacturer simply just putting nets under that window? Tell me, explain to me. Because the number of deaths in these waterways, like accidental deaths, are like, I would venture to say zero. Like zero. In a town of, what is it now, 30,000 people. It's all been suicides or murder. Are we in complete and utter denial here? Do we not want to realize that this world is just hopelessly fucked in its current state? I know, me personally, my issue isn't so much the current state of this world, but the fact that people are so goddamn fucking stupid and afraid even. I think there's a lot of fear there. That we don't want to challenge the way the world works, because we fear that might actually, I don't know, put more responsibility in our hands, possibly, in our daily lives, like actual, real responsibility, that we might actually have to look after ourselves a little more. We might have to think a little more about what we eat, where we spend our money, the media that we absorb. half of the time I don't blame people, because it's terrifying. It's just having to take care of yourself on such a level that you don't get sucked into the elite's mind games. But the other half of the time I'm resentful because I and you good people out there are the few that are stuck with actually having to witness this train wreck in slow motion, while everyone else is having a good time while Rome burns. Now what really fucking pisses me off, and here's the little gem of this show, and then I'm going to pack it in. Anti-Corruption Ireland, launched by investigative journalist Gemma O'Doherty. She's been hyping this for quite a while now on her famed live streams, and her objective is get people together in various venues across Ireland and discuss what matters to them. And she has, I think, 10 pillars or 16 pillars or 30 pillars or something. Something that's not easy to digest. It's a lot of fucking pillars, man. There's a fucking cathedral here or something. And eventually, I think maybe it might want to be in the next week or so, put people up for the local elections coming up in Ireland, I believe, at the end of this month, which I don't actually see how that's possible. Hang on. Now, myself and my friends have thought that this is all very contrived. You know, like certain individuals who turned out to be agents in the end. One of these people being Alex Jones. There are a few people who do this, where they come out and they say, oh, you know, this is the last time, lads, you know. This is the last opportunity we have. And, you know, if we can't get our shit together now, if I don't get support now, I'm out. I'm packing my bags and I'm leaving. And you can fucking deal with it. This is Gemma O'Doherty in much PG words, I would say. Now, she got censored by Google for something that really, I'm not entirely sure if it makes a lot of sense. For the image of a little child who, back in the 90s, went missing, and the missing here in Ireland, and the whole process of investigation was completely covered up by everyone in the community, almost. Gemma O'Doherty would have a poster behind her in her live streams at all times, and it would show this girl's face. I'm blanking on her name now. God, I've wrecked this cigarette. In the end, it turned out that YouTube just didn't like that this girl's face was on the video because someone complained about the girl's face. I don't know on what grounds, but after covering it up with a little piece of brown paper with the word censored scrawled on it, she was able to return. After basically corralling a few friends and family and making a call out on Twitter for people to descend upon the Google headquarters in Dublin and demand to be reinstated. Now, all of this isn't unusual on its own. We have to kind of take the broad view and see the bigger picture of what's going on. She returned that night to live stream on YouTube, having been successful where others weren't, honestly. And she came on with an individual by the name of Vincent Byrne. Now, I've covered this on my Irish Identitarian channel. This guy, he seems to have ties with the Irish Republican Brotherhood. Some allege that he's the vice president of the Irish Republican Brotherhood. I do recall something about that back in 2010 when we had our last run-in with the fella. Now, the way he came on my radar and most of our radars is he came in at the early stages of a website and basically a youth movement called Tyrannosaur, Land of the Free, created by this genius, really. He had a stroke of genius. Kevin Flanagan. He's now teaching a course in Brehon law and Irish culture. Go find him on Brehon Law Academy and like his Facebook page if you're on Facebook. It's solid content and you won't regret buying this course. But he set up this website and he attracted so many people because he hit on a nerve. He tapped into the zeitgeist, if you will. People who weren't happy living under legislation that didn't have the mandate of the people. Now, the whole premise of the Freeman movement is kind of dodgy, and I think as a group we all kind of drifted away from that. But in comes Vincent Byrne in the early days of Tyrannosaur. And they set up a radio stream, an internet radio stream, to accompany the website. And basically, he's the most confident guy on the scene. And, you know, he says, hey, you know, I'll do a frequent radio show for you on your stream. And that becomes the nexus of the community. Now, what proceeds to happen is he brings into the fold this interesting character by the name of Harry something. Harry O'Reilly, maybe? Harry... Okay, I'm just searching this document written up by Kevin Flanagan. Yeah, no, there's like 1,000 Harrys in here, but no, I think it's Harry O'Reilly. He's spurious himself. And then, weeks later, he brings on this guy and announces him one night as the president of the Irish Republican Brotherhood. You know, this is the mystique of the Irish history and rebellion. And this guy comes on the show, starts talking all this Luciferian stuff about if there wasn't any sun and moon, we'd be stuck in darkness. And our whole way of life was revolving around the luminescence of the sun and the moon. Very odd, frankly, Freemasonic thought. Now, he claimed that his brotherhood had some kind of magical power to bestow the Republic with its sovereignty over the island every year by some inconsequential little ritual called the Turning of the Seal in Mansion House early in January of every year. I immediately took to the forums and said, Billy Maguire, that's his name by the way, Billy Maguire is full of shit. This precipitated a shitstorm by Harry and Vincent Byrne, who were moderators on the website at the time. They edited pretty much everything that I had said in recent time on the website, as well as exposed the secret group that I had there. You can set up groups and have them secret or private or public, and then altered it to make it look like some kind of satanic group. This was all later to be found that it was in fact true, and Kevin Flanagan can attest to that there were significant alterations overnight, basically. And I was contacted by Vincent Byrne and threatened. Now, what happened after then is it was uncovered that one particular member decided to donate €10,000 to the cause, which promptly vanished under Vincent Byrne's watch. As well as that, Vincent Byrne went and basically bought the domain tnsradio.com. I think he bought it or simply just hijacked it. That has to be looked into further. And basically set up a mirror site of Tyrannosaur and brought all his acolytes over there, a good, say, 25% of the active membership, who basically were dumb enough to believe all of his theories and accusations. Now, this guy has gone on to further give dodgy Freeman-style advice to people, which landed them in court, which landed them even in prison, and with fines running into hundreds of euros. And this is his MO. You know, he sells himself as some kind of common law wizard who can tell you how to say the secret words, and then the judge just collapses into a pile of sand, and everyone has a parade for you because you said the magic words in court. When everyone had already come, well, most people, rationally thinking people, had come to the conclusion themselves that the court doesn't give a fuck about the law. They have the whole country stitched up, and they have the whole country brainwashed to the point that whatever they say goes. Whatever they want to do, they will do. So that's the man we're dealing with. Someone who, what's the word when you steal money that from your company? Sometimes I just blank on a word. It's just, my brain is older than my body. That's the problem. He's a pilferer. Yeah, let's go with that word. He's a pilferer. He's a liar. And I believe that he was either sent into Tyrannosaur to derail a legitimate movement, or he was used eventually, because he's such an egotistical prick, by this shadowy and not so mysterious or impressive secret society known as the Irish Republican Brotherhood, which has some dodgy fucking history all by itself, which I'll get into at some other stage, that suspiciously looks like the Freemasons as well as the Orange Order. That's a huge can of worms. So either Vince was used by these people, or he was with these people originally. But the bottom line is that he destroyed Tyrannosaur. He took it off of the natural, organic course where it was leading. Now, Vincent Byrne got to say whatever he wanted to say on Gemma O'Doherty's stream, and because it sounded agreeable, and because he was making all the right complaints and he was hitting all the right notes, nobody except me said anything at the time at this broadcast. And not that I know of, anyway. I did promptly contact Gemma O'Doherty and warn her that there's a snake in the grass, and fair enough, the woman might actually get as many emails as she claims to get and is not in a position to read them all. But I did try to get her attention very explicitly. And I hope that maybe she looks back on comments or the chat of the live streams that she puts out. Actually, honestly, I hope she doesn't, because then she can claim ignorance here, because she has been warned consistently, this man is a snake, there's a snake in the garden. And 2 weeks later, we notice that Vincent Byrne is a moderator on Gemma O'Doherty's channel. And a few days ago, once again, for no particular reason, there wasn't any big event, or it wasn't planned, we're going to sit down and we're going to talk about our rights and the Constitution. No, Vin was just allowed to come on halfway through Gemma's stream and talk this bollocks, basically, about the Constitution and how, we need to learn our rights, and rightfully enough, someone in the chat there was saying, hey, you're being indoctrinated here, you're being recruited in Vincent Byrne's army, and you better watch out, because 40% of the people that he gives advice to end up in court. And if you actually listen to what Vince propounds, you're not even supposed to get that far as to end up in court, because supposedly, and this is how it should work, and when it comes to, a lot of other cases that don't involve ordinary citizens and their rights, things don't get to court, because there's a conversation back and forth with the claimant and the defendant, and usually it gets worked out, because you're only supposed to go to court as the last resort. But when the government itself is the claimant, you're going to end up in court unless you simply do what it is that they tell you to do. There's no magic words, folks. There's no magic words. It's not like, you just walk up to a cop and go, Simsolum, abracadabra, and the cop just goes, yeah, right enough, okay, I'll rip up this faulty, ticket and have a good day. Doesn't fucking happen. Just doesn't fucking happen. And if you poke that tiger, you're going to get eaten. And this has been proven around again and again. So Vince, I think, is going to insert his nonsense into Anti-Corruption Ireland and make it into another one of his fucking gigs. From what I heard, the current outlet that he is with, People's Internet Radio, he also hijacked and imploded that small group as well. It's just really a community that get together and basically whinge and complain about how terrible the world is while they listen to radio streams, not unlike this one, complaining about how terrible the world is. And I really do think he actually just imploded the whole thing, because I did go and check out that community. You have to sign up to it, by the way, to gain access to it, which shows loads of fucking confidence. I clicked on the video section, and the only link under the video section drop down was the Vin B show. I clicked on that, and I got a 404 page not found. So if you understand the way psychopaths and sociopaths work, or rather narcissists, you know, they find their source, they find their narcissistic supply, they burn it up, or, you know, it just slowly dwindles because they're choking the life out of it. And then they find their second source of supply, jump to that, and implode the first one. And I so far from what I've seen with People's Internet Radio, that seems to be what he has done. So if you do jump on board with Anti-Corruption Ireland, which I think I might do myself to a limited extent, be careful. Don't listen to the bald man. Don't listen to him. Someone in the chat said in the last live stream he was in that he looks like mini me, which is so when you see say 5'11" mini me, watch out. Don't take his advice. He will fuck your life up, and he will hypnotize you and induct you into his little cult. Let's take a little bit of a break, and we're going to wrap up this stream. I would like to hear from you guys in the live chat. Say hello.
I think there is the idea that we have to insist on our borders. There is something racist about that.
Right, so you believe that people who, like Tim Montgomery, say there should be managed or strong national borders are implicitly racist?
I think there is...
Far right. As far right. All the white people, and it has been on. All right. all the white people, and they all get slandered and branded as being on the far right. Daniel the Spaniel, or Daniel Bostock, with a good parody of Blur's Park Life. Oh shit. Why? Why that? Did you guys hear an echo there? Because for some reason my desktop audio is, okay. I see what's going on here. Shit. Was there an echo this whole time when I was talking? Fuck. Alright. Coming up to an hour, and it's time to pack it in, but I'd feel really fucking guilty for walking away from this live stream and not actually at least attempting to give you something that you can work with, you know? Because, you know, I'm poo-pooing, you know, community initiatives to make waterways safer. I'm poo-pooing what seems to be Ireland's last hope to get back on track. But like I said at the beginning, folks, it won't be through these channels. And it certainly won't be through fucking social media. God damn, you know. It's programmed in such a way that the people that should be getting these messages aren't getting these messages. And the only people that do actually get the message that you're putting out are the people that are already on your side, or the people who already believe in crazy land. And I'm sorry to put it that way, but that's what it is. It's crazy land. This stuff. Whether it's true or not. You know? Whether Europe is, you know, going to be destroyed by the hordes or not. Whether a certain group controls the world and are going to kill 97% of us or not. It's crazy land stuff. So, you know, when someone believes in some other crazy land stuff already, then the internet, in its grand wisdom, in its beautiful algorithms, says, hey, you know, this person believes this crazy thing, but there's like this group of people over there that also believe that crazy thing. But there's something else that they believe. So let's show this first person that second thing. And then you find another rabbit hole. Or, you know, that person finds another rabbit hole. And then suddenly they're posting on their social media feeds all about it. Slowly dying of stress and becoming even more socially isolated. Because the people in their real lives, or the people on their social media accounts that aren't into crazy land stuff, don't see them anymore. Because they're always talking about crazy land stuff. Because that's all that shows up in their social media feeds is crazy land stuff. So that's all they're thinking about. We've been reduced to this J.B. Skinner nightmare level of cognition here. You know, we're not free. We're not thinking for ourselves here, folks. We're allowing the computers to do the thinking for us. And I speak as a fellow victim, you know, a fellow cognitive slave who's fallen for the trick over and over and over and over again. What I would like to leave you with is the thought that how strong you must be to have such vicious enemies and have them do so much to waylay you. How awesome are you that so much effort is put into keeping you in a lowered state of consciousness at all times, because, God forbid that, you actually woke up for like 5 minutes out of a 24-hour day. You might do something dangerous. You might say something to another person that would get them thinking, as opposed to just flooding their consciousness with all sorts of rambly nonsense that you fucking learned off the internet. There are things that one can do to improve one's life, slowly but surely become almost superhuman and inspire others. After a really, really long time of avoiding that, out of some kind of inner weakness that I have yet to pinpoint, I'm on my way to becoming that superhuman. I already feel quite super. Even though I do falter often. The little changes that I have made in my life, what I eat, how I eat, and how I control what enters my consciousness. The fact that I actually walk a little more often than I used to. Grabbing life by the balls is an awesome feeling, and it's also very what would you call when there we go, my brain's gone again, forgetting simple words. Contagious, that's it. It's fucking contagious, okay? When you seem happier and more energetic and fulfilled, the people want to know why. A lot of them will just get angry with you because they're jealous, and that inner weakness that I once suffered from myself is just, ruling them, and instead of wanting to further themselves, they would just rather drag you down. But I find that, the more that you work on yourself, the less invisible those people are even. So it gets better and better. And what other solution is there in this world than to have a bunch of really awesome people who know what they want and are willing to fight for it, and are willing to fight together for it because they want to continue to feel this awesome, and they want others to as well. What other solution is there? A bunch of fucking zombies outside Parliament with fucking Guy Fawkes masks on them. And probably fucking, petty criminals and abusers. Fucking sadists. People with deep, dark fucking shadows that haven't been explored. Bad diet. Bad habits all around. Shitty outlook in life. But yeah, all those are going to get together and demand that the government does what they say. That's a real fucking solution. No, we can do a lot better, folks. We can do a whole lot better than what the internet has trained us into thinking. Because when you look at it, when it comes to standing against the New World Order and tyranny, we have been brainwashed by the internet in terms of how to deal with it, in terms of how to confront it. So, that's your positive spin, folks, for the night. Take that away and, reflect on it. Reflect on what can you do for yourself in this moment, tonight, tomorrow morning, to make things a little brighter for yourself and the people that you love. And hey, you know what? The world isn't your fucking problem, man. You were born right in the middle of it. You didn't cause this shit, so why is it your job to clean it up? It's you, yourself, that has responsibility for you first and foremost. So I think you should take precedent. Because like I said, amazingness, awesomeness is contagious. Everyone wants to be awesome.